All right, and we're live. Let's see if we can get this going, and we'll have. All right, seems like my starting timer has broken. We'll do that. Okay, I think we're ready. There we go. All right, so we're looking at this script called AzGovViz parallel, which is the Azure Governance Visualizer. It's totally amazing script. But so the result of the script is totally amazing. It generates a nice HTML output that summarizes your whole Azure environment, and I really like it. And I really want to understand what it does, how it works, and if I can improve it in any way. But there is one problem, and that is that it is long. It's one script that is, or used to be, roughly 24,000 lines. Now I have shortened it a bit, so now it's almost 24,000 lines. And I'm thinking I'm going to go through this a little bit at a time every Monday, and maybe we can create a module that splits all the functionality up in different functions. I've started with that up here. See, of course, I don't have Zoom, it started. See if we can get some Zoom going here. There we go. So if we look at this part, we can see that I've created a bunch of scripts here, trying to break out each functionality in its own function. And when we get more functions created, we can start dividing them up between private and public functions and try to make a module that isn't so daunting to have a go at as a new contributor. Because I think very few people will actually read through these 24,000 lines to get a grasp of what it's doing. But if they find one function that works like totally by itself as an atomic unit, I think that that can be an easier task to start at. So last week we broke out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 functions. I ran the script and it still works, which is kind of good. And let's switch into screen mode here. There we go. So now you should be able to see the screen too. And yep, here is the code. I hope you can hear me. I hope the music is reasonable volume. Otherwise, please let me know and we'll make something about it. So let's see where we were. Last week we found these functions. I actually found where they were used. So they're getting used in a parallel script block later on. So if we do like this, we can see that we have a, yeah. So here we're doing a for each parallel, and within that parallel loop, we're using a lot of using statements to import functions from the parent scope, which is kind of a smart thing to do. But if we instead break them out and make a module, we can just import a module in each scope. I'm not sure if that is so that will have a little bit of an overhead because we will read files, but I assume that that will be negligible or won't matter. So we'll see what happens. Let's go up to the beginning where we were. Scrolling. Yep. So here are the parameters. Here are the errors. Yeah, this is all the parameter calculations. I actually learned something new here. So if you set an environment variable called suppress Azure breaking change warnings, you don't get all those annoying warning messages from Azure PowerShell. That's cool. Yeah, this is the JWT details thing we got here. I wonder if we imported everything. I hope so. Yeah, here we are. Good. Right, so we have the AC API call. I'm actually gonna break that out in its own file to start with. So I'm just gonna cut that out, save the file, create a new, create a new file in here called AC API call.ps1 and paste it all here because it's a little bit easier to work with. And we're going to try to optimize our screen real estate here so everyone can see even if you're on a small screen. And then I'm going to remake, I hope this will work, but I'm going to take all these parameters and I'm going to put them on the inside here like this. This shouldn't make any difference, but it will make it a bit easier to break it up and give us some options if we choose to convert this to some other, like an advanced function in the future. So I'm just going to put some line breaks in here on all these places. There we go. And then we need some more line breaks. Okay, so those are our parameters. So we got the URI method, current task body, listen on. We should probably get some parameter validation on this later on, but let's keep it like this to start with. So we have a try counter, bunch of counters, some kind of threshold, a failed counter. Okay, so here's the first problem. We are using the HT parameters variable in here, and that variable doesn't really exist in this function. So I'm going to look it up here. And it's this one, so it's using a global parameter. And that means that the function doesn't really work as a function because the point of PowerShell functions is to have all the input to a function go through parameters and all the output go through output. And that way we can isolate the function and have it work as an atomic self-sustaining unit or whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to look for all the places we use this, and it seems like we're using debug API, and then we have a GitHub repository here. And here we're writing them all out. Okay. So in this error message, we're writing all the keys out, which is unfortunate. Here we're writing the GitHub repository name for some logging. So in the future, I would probably try to break out a lot of these error messages and try to return different error messages depending on the error. So this function, excuse me. So this function should probably do its thing, and if it has an error of some kind, it should return a kind of an error message, and then I could, outside of this function, handle the actual error logging and say this didn't work because of an error, and by the way, here are all your environment configuration or whatnot. That way we don't need to write all that information in here, and then we can break this function out and possibly use it in other places. But for now, I'm actually going to be really lazy, and I'm gonna say that ht parameters as a parameter, and then I'm going to find every place that we use AC API call, which is going to be a lot, I guess. Yep. Or maybe not. Here we go. So I'm going to add a dash ht parameters, I think it was called. Parameters. Yep. Oops. There we are. So let's just take this part. Yeah, I think I'll have to do it like this. If we weren't using the like parallel scoping script kind of thing, we could just set a piece default parameter value that could add the ht parameters thingy to it. We might be able to do that anyway, but then I have to do it like in each scope, and I'm unsure how many scopes we have, so I'll just go through these and make sure to put it everywhere. Okay, we already fixed that one. Let's do that one. Come on. There we go. Spontaneously, I get the feeling like we're like repeating the same kind of code. It looks very similar. I think this is like the third or fourth time I see the same line of code. So I hope we can optimize this a bit later on and see if we can reuse the code instead of having it in a lot of like having the same code over and over again. That one is fixed. Just hit me that maybe we're also modifying the HT parameters inside of the function. I really hope we're not, because then it's not gonna work. This is a bit of a hack just to get past this. Oops. $76, almost there. Oh crap. That's the wrong. I wouldn't do too many of those. Nope. Good. Right, I think we're fine. Let's get on with it. So save this one and let's go through it again. So we have the HT parameters. We're checking if it's true. If it is, we set check if the caller, and the caller is a parameter. Awesome. We set some debug stuff. We get a random number, and cool. Then we have a do loop. Array Azure Management Endpoint URLs is also something that isn't available in this scope. So let's try to find that. Okay, so we are creating an empty array. We're adding resource manager URLs to it. All right, we have to make this a parameter as well, I guess. Just do this. And URI is this one. Alright, so we're going through the endpoints and find one that matches the URI. Then we say target endpoint is management API, where to use. That is probably also not a parameter. I have a bit of a bad feeling about this, but we'll see. Okay, and if we don't find it, then oh, so this will contain the Azure Management API, which hopefully should only be one, unless I am signed into more than one Azure cloud, like Azure Shine, Azure Government, and Public Azure at once, I hope. This is probably something we want to put outside of this function and just have a token parameter in the end, but we'll see where we go. API TSTMP. So that's some kind of a timestamp. And then we're adding an array API call tracking. All right, if this is a module, we'll be fine because we have script scoped variables, but I'm not sure how they will work in a parallel task. Oh well, we'll leave that for now. Let's do a to-do list work as module scoped. Okay, so this is some kind of log, I assume. If the caller is custom data collector, then we're going to set okay, let's do the same thing again. Let's do like this. Here we go. So we have a try counter. I think we set that up here. Yeah, cool. And then I'm just gonna do some line breaks here so I get some short lines. There we go. So if we have this debug set, we're going to do some kind of, hey, Risa, welcome. We're creating an auth header and a content type header, and we are setting a, if we have a consistency level, then we are recreating that header and adding a consistency level. So in this case, we should probably just have done something like this. And I'm unsure if we really need that as a string, but if we have done this instead of this, we wouldn't have to recreate this. But I'm trying not to modify this right now. Let's just try to move the code and make it work. And then we can focus on. So here we are creating a API request. Basically passing on everything. If we have a body, we do this. And if we don't have a body, we do the same thing, but we don't use a content type. And this is also confusing for me because we're setting a content type here, but we're also having a content type header in the header. So I think this part is redundant. Okay, if we get an error, we extract the error message and then we do convert from JSON on that message. And if that fails, we're just adding it as is or setting the catch result. And then if we fail to parse the message over here, it's an unexpected error, and then we don't do this. Okay, so if we are up here, then we do this. All right, so if we didn't get an unexpected error, we are going to check for debug, and if we have a debug setting, we're going to write the debug message. And then we're going to check if we got a HTTP OK back. If we did, then we're gonna do a debug message again. There we go. And then we are checking if the error code is any of these. Or we have get consumption and we got any of these. All right. Whoa. There are a lot of... So if we don't give a HTTP OK, we have an error, and then we check if we have any of these errors. All right. And if we do... Okay, so this is basically just a lot of different errors. There's a huge amount of work gone into this, like handling every case of an error. This is so impressive. I don't think I've ever made an such a complete error handling thing. And yeah, if we get here, we're just gonna write out all the parameters that we supplied. What about this syntax error 13? Yeah, that's about how far I usually have the energy to take it. All right, so let's try to make sense of this. So we have all these. So if there is a known error message of any kind, we are going to do a lot of different logging. And I don't see any continues in here, but we have a throw. So in some cases, we're going to exit. And if we have a counter that is greater than 2, we're going to sleep for 5 seconds. And if we have a counter greater than 3, we're going to sleep for an additional 10 seconds. So that's 15 seconds. All right. And more error handling and error handling. This is so amazing. which line are we at? So we're currently at line 100. There's 100 lines of just error handling. Impressive. Okay, so we can have a lot of different errors in here. Authorization request denied. How do you even know all these things? It must have taken ages to figure all these messages out. Awesome. Okay, so if we get a secure score, yeah, I actually don't think he tried everything manually. I hope he has access to someone who kind of wrote all the errors and just asked them, like, can you please give me all the possible errors you can have, I can get, and then he would manage that. But still, like, even if I had all this information, it's a lot of work just to handle it. Impressive. Don't see anything that is something else than just pausing and error handling, so I'm just going to leave it for now. We probably have to dive deep into this if we have any kind of success in our endeavors. So now we're in this. Now we handled all the gateway timeout. If it's not the timeout, we have all of these, and if it's not any of these, then we're going to here we are in like the something else went wrong. So if we haven't handled the error in these 200 something cases that we have listed, or 200 something lines list, then we're gonna say please report at GitHub. Yeah, amazing. Okay, so if we get here, then yeah, then there's an unexpected error. So if we get into this, it's equal true. So here is if we have an unexpected error. And if we do, we're going to do another white host. Probably shouldn't be doing these line breaks, but I like being able to see the whole line, so alright, then here we have the sleep logic again, sleeping for an increasing time every time, and then just keep on looping, and then we are going to keep going until we have a status code 200 and not is more. Where is the is more? Is more goes. Is more. Alright, so that's basic paging. Okay, so there we go. So if we get into here, I'm just gonna write a comment to remember this. If we get here, we got no, it didn't fail. So no unexpected error, and so this is actually a success path. And then we do another debug call, and We're taking the request, converting from JSON. If listed on equals to content, listed on is a parameter, all right? We're doing a big message, and then we're adding this thingy if it's content properties. I assume there is something super smart about this, but it's not clear to me what the difference between content and content properties are. But if we use content properties, apparently we're going to loop through the rows in our response, and if we get more than one, we're going to loop through them. All right, let's just, it can be there for now. And if it's not content and it's not content properties, then we do this. So if it has a value, we are going to loop through the values and add them. And if we have get guests, which should be a parameter up here, yep. Did the stream just get very blurry, or is it just my monitor? Also, I realized you can't see code that is on the lower half. It's your, oh, thank you, good. Please let me know if I edit a lot of code, like, behind my head. Alright, where were we? If we get guests. So I'm a bit skeptical about this. I'm not sure what we're... Yeah, code in my head, that's normal. We can live with that, I hope. Right, and then we do is more is false, and then we check if we have a next link. So if we have a next link, that means that we got a paged result, and we need to follow the next link to get the next result. So if we have a next link, then we set it to true. And then we are checking if the URI is equal to the next link. That means that we got the same next link as we just followed. So then we have a duplicate link counter. Okay. So here we're going to write an error saying error. Otherwise, we are going to throw an error. Right? That's a nice emoji. Chrome of 44. Okay, so otherwise, if we're down here, we don't have a duplicate next link, or we haven't gotten more than 3. So then we are saying it's equal to next link, we're restarting, we're sleeping for a second, we are creating a new bearer token. We are updating this, but if it's a module scope, that should work, and then we sleep again. And let's see, minimize this. So if we get pass this and into this, then we're just updating the URI to the next link because it's not a duplicate. And then we're doing a debug message. And if we don't have a next link, we are looking for an OData next link. All right. And then we do this. So we should be able to break out, because it feels to me like this code and this code is very similar. Okay, so it differs here, but otherwise there is a lot of the same things. This should be broken out, and this probably should be the almost the same here. We'll take that later, I guess. All right, so then we looked at a next link in OData format, and then we're looking for a next link in part of properties, and then we're doing the same thing again. Then we're updating the URI, writing a debug message. Okay, so these are 3 ways we can get the next link. And otherwise, we're just gonna write the debug message. Okay, makes sense. Then we go down here. Let me refresh. So this is basically, we got an unexpected error. And then we're doing an unexpected error. Yeah, this is an impressive amount of error handling. I'm impressed. Awesome. So let's see where we got it from. So we just remove that. That should be fine. Then we're creating these. And then we're looping through each check AC environment in check AC environments. Scrolling this is really hard. Let's see. There we go. Let's find this one. Alright, so that's a get AC environment. Is that an actual command? Oh, it is. So here we're getting all the management APIs that I was talking about before. So we're just gonna loop through these. And then really uncertain what the parenthesis is doing here, but so check environment name. This is a hash table, and we are putting the name, so this name as a key in the hash table, and then we're giving that a value, and then we are setting the resource manager URI or URL to this one. Okay, so here we're basically creating a hash table of hash tables for Azure Cloud, China Cloud, Azure Government, and Azure German. And we are applying the relative graph API URLs as well. Then we create a bearer token to the management APIs. Storing that in a script-based variable. If not AD group result members or not no a if this is false, so if we are asking for result members or if we are asking for service principals, then we are creating an access token for Microsoft Graph. And then we are putting that into the tokens. Yeah, makes sense. Then we are creating a delimiter. And if the delimiter is semicolon, then we're creating an opposite. Okay. That's fine. And then we have this add row to table function. All right. Takes a lot of parameters and it creates a PS custom object that looks like the parameter. And then it adds it to a new table script. This could actually be a good use for a PowerShell class, but then we wouldn't have PowerShell 5 support. But I think I saw something about only supporting... Yeah, we're using it in parallel, so we are only supporting PowerShell Core. Oh, Mr. Epix, hello, welcome. Let's break this out. I forgot the name already. Add row to the table. I've never seen these parentheses being used together with a param. That's interesting. Usually you put parameters either in here or in here. I've never seen both be used. Let's copy this thing and go cut this thing and create a new file somewhere here. And call it like this. How is it going here? We are copy pasting code like there is no tomorrow. We just went through like 500 lines of error handling for HTTP methods, and that was really impressive. Basically, we have this whole... I don't even know where I put it anymore. Yeah, this whole part just error handling any kind of error response you can get from Azure API. Kind of cool. Thinking maybe I should put the comment where I got these from, but no. Parameter heaven, yeah. This one is parameter heaven. So we have a lot of parameters, and then we are repeating them to create an object which we append to a script scoped variable called new table. And then we have a data collection. It takes a management group ID. We get a date time. All management group from entities child of requested management group. Say that fast 5 times. I am not smart enough to read this in one line, so I'm going to break this apart. Let's do this. So these things were this and that contains. All right. Is that a new thing? Dev all management group from entities child of request management group count ops. Yeah, that's a new thing. Okay, and then we take all of these, that which we filtered out here, and then we're doing a loop. And this is like the main parallel loop. So here is where the parallel in AzGovViz parallel comes from, I guess. Okay, so the mg detail is the underscore. We are doing a lot of using stuff just to import, because the thing here is when we're doing a for each parallel, this script will actually be like we will spin up a bunch of different run spaces, and each run space needs to import all of this functionality and configuration that we have created. So we're using using statements to kind of import stuff from the outside scope. All right. We'll just leave that as is for now. Add row to table done is false. Parent ID is loop through all the management groups and find something. Whoops. Where name equals to detail name. All right. And then we will take all the properties parent ID and we replace anything before a slash. And if we don't find the parent ID, then the parent ID is tenant root. Fair enough. Here you could have all management group from the child of requested management group. So all the management groups, which is a descendant of the thing that we are doing the visualizer on. And if the name is equal the name. Okay, I have to try that. Then we're getting something random and we are sleeping random. Getting a new date, and we are using HD parameters. I hope we are we are importing that in the using. We do stuff. All right, and then we do a lot of policy stuff, and then we go through the blueprints. I'm actually just gonna scroll through all this for now. And here we do the add row to table part. I wonder if this actually works cross threads. I never tried to do this. So inside of this function, which is add to table here, right? Add row to table, add row to table. So here we have a hard-coded script new table. I wonder if that targets the parallel or if it's actually writing back to a table. New table. Whoops. Alright, so we're creating a copy of new table inside of here. I get it. Makes sense. Now I'm lost. There we go. We create some logging stuff. We get policy exemptions. We do the AC API call. And then we do custom policies. A lot of formatting for those. We do some go through management group policy sets. So I'm thinking this could probably be its own function, like each part here. Just to try to... And also these kind of things, they're working, but it's a little bit risky because this character here, the backtick thingy, this thing, is an escape character. So if I by accident put a space in here, like right now, we're escaping the new line character, which is this one. And that means that PowerShell don't care about the new line character, so it's just gonna read this like it's all in one line. But if I by accident put a space in here, then we're actually going to escape the space, and we even get a warning from PS Script Analyzer, which is good. But it's a little bit fragile. Now I don't know what I did. There we go. So I would really prefer... Yeah, the white space is gone. You can forget about it now. No. Alright, maybe some other time. I would really prefer to use another method for this, because I think this is a bit fragile. If L0 management group policy assignment matches. Right. Then we're doing something. I'm not gonna think about what that is at the moment, and then we're adding that to a row. And if this happens, it's unexpected. Fine. And then we do custom roles on management groups. We do level 0 management group, same thing there. So should be able to reuse much of this, I hope. And then here is the end of the parallel. And then we have a throttle limit, which is probably set up here somewhere. Yep. It was, there we go, 5. It's not too much. So that's the for each parallel. Then we have... In fact, it's a huge pet peeve of mine, almost as bad as cat throw. Yeah, I kind of agree with at least the backtick part. I can handle some empty catch statements, but yeah. So then we have a sub loop. So if we have any subscriptions, we do this, and then we have batch size, and then we're going to loop through our subscriptions. Apparently we've been having some out of memory problems, since there are some garbage collection statements commented out here. And then we're going to do a for each parallel on all the batch groups. So let's see what we're doing here. This is interesting. We are creating subs process in custom data collection. So if we have more than one, then we're going to set the batch size, and then we're going to group them by math floor counter batch value plus through batch size. All right, so we are figuring out the batch size, and then so this is probably going to plus this for every. That's actually quite smart. So this is going to bucket them all into batch size number of buckets. Yeah, I like this. Never thought of doing it this way before, but yeah, it's cool. It's smart. And then we're taking for each batch. So that's for each group. And then we're doing the group and doing a parallel. Yep, cool. And then we're doing all these again. And here we're going through all the diagnostic settings we can find. And all right. Sa. La. It's like a scale. If no resources is false, that means if we're going to inventory resources. And this is still in the for each. Yeah, we are still in the for each. Then we're getting resources for the subscription URI. We are building a URI URL for resources. All right. doing this API call again. We are grouping them by type and location, and for each type location we're counting how many resources we have for each type per location. Makes sense. And not sure what that does. We'll go into that later. Too late in the day. Then we're going to, through this, we're going to add something to resource IDs. And then we're going through all the resource tags. And then we're going inventory for all the resource locks. So if the count -1 is 6, then it's the subscription lock. Okay. I think there is quite a number of cool things we can learn from this code. All right, and then we're setting all the information back here. And then we are parsing all the tags and basically do similar thing for tags. And then we do subscription blueprints. We add that to table. And these parts are actually the same as we did for management group, more or less. So this is all the same. We are going through them. I don't know if they're exactly the same, but they look very similar. And this should be similar because we are probably inventorying policy and role assignments and stuff on management groups and then on subscriptions, and they should look pretty much the same. Cool. And then we go through roles, inventory that. I'm just going to minimize this. And we add that. And then this should be at the end of our for each loop, I think. Scroll. There we are. Yep. Okay. So this. Is the data collection and there's so many variables in here, so I'm not even gonna. That can just be there for now. And then we have a hierarchy management group HTML. So how big is this? 200 lines. Okay, so this is a variable that doesn't exist in here. And the same here. So this has to be a later problem. For now, these are all the building HTML stuff. Alright, the summary function is 11,000 lines. I think this is a good break, or a good place for saying good night, and I think we'll see if we can have a further look at this next week, I guess. I wonder if we can just fold all the level 1 and just get a... That didn't work. Let's fold everything. So we have a data collection region, we have a create outputs region, and then we have the API tracking. Alright. So maybe this was as much a function. These were all the... Yeah, we should probably go through the data collection next time because that's interesting. And we did the functions part. Yep. And then the summary function and all the outputs. Cool. So thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight. I hope I'll see you here next week, same time. And hopefully on Thursday at 9 p.m. I will release my first YouTube video on PowerShell for beginners. So check that out. It's only like 10 minutes long, and I hope to release one every week. So hope I'll see you then, and otherwise hope I'll see you next week. So take care and good night. Bye bye.